All right, let's dive into one of the most action-packed chapters in the entire Bible, Luke chapter 8. We're not just going to read it, we're going to turn this ancient text into a cinematic journey, bringing all its incredible stories of faith, fear, and, well, unbelievable power to life. So our whole journey kicks off with this one challenge from Jesus. It's not just about hearing sounds. It's a call to listen on a way deeper level. And honestly, this idea is going to pop up in every single story we look at today. It's all about trying to grasp the real meaning behind the words. Okay, so first up, our story opens with Jesus teaching these huge crowds. But think about it. A mission this big needs some serious support. So who were the people who not only listened to his words, but actually made it possible for everyone else to hear them too? The chapter gets going with Jesus and his 12 disciples on this big preaching tour. But get this, they are not alone. We meet this amazing group of women, people like Mary Magdalene, Joanna, and Susanna, who Jesus had healed. And here's the part that would have been shocking back then. These women were the patrons. They were using their own money to fund the entire operation. They weren't just followers. They were the engine making it all run. So as this massive crowd gathers around, Jesus tells them a story, a parable. Picture a farmer, just scattering seed everywhere. Some of it lands on a hard path, and birds just swoop down and eat it instantly. Some seed lands on rocky soil. It shoots up fast, but then withers in the sun because it has no roots. Other seed, well, it falls among thorns, and they just grow up and totally choke the life out of the new plants. But finally, some seed lands on good soil, where it grows into this amazing crop, producing a huge harvest. Of course, the disciples are kind of scratching their heads, so Jesus explains it. The seed is God's message, right? And the different soils, well, that's us. That's how our hearts receive it. The hard path, that's a closed mind where the message can't even get in. The rocky ground is that initial excitement that just fizzles out when things get tough. The thorny ground, that's a life so jam-packed with worries and wanting stuff that the message just gets suffocated. But the good soil, that's the heart that really hears it, holds onto it, and lets it grow into something incredible. Jesus keeps going with another simple picture. You don't light a lamp just to hide it under a bowl, right? No, you put it on a stand so it lights up the whole room. He's saying that truth is meant to be seen, that what's hidden will eventually come out into the open. And then he drops this warning. Pay attention to how you hear. It's like one person is listening with open hands, ready to catch what's being said, while another has their fists clenched, and the meaning just splashes right off. And then things get personal. Jesus' mom and brothers show up, but they can't get through the huge crowd to reach him. Someone tells him, "Hey, your family is outside looking for you." And right then and there, Jesus completely redefines what family means. He points to the people all around him listening to him and says, these people, the ones who hear God's word and actually do something about it, they are his real family. All right, buckle up. The story is about to shift gears big time. We're moving from a test of understanding to a terrifying test of pure physical survival. The parables are over. Reality is about to hit. Hard. So Jesus says to his disciples, let's go to the other side of the lake. As they're sailing, Jesus, who must have been just completely exhausted, falls sound asleep. Just picture him there, resting peacefully, totally at ease, as the boat just glides over the water. And then, bam, that peace is just shattered. Out of nowhere, a violent windstorm, a squall, crashes down on the lake. The sky goes dark, the wind is howling, and these huge waves start building up, tossing the boat around like it's a bath toy. Things are getting critical fast. Water is pouring over the sides, and the boat is starting to sink. And remember, these are seasoned fishermen, but even they are in deep trouble, frantically trying to bail out the water, fighting for their lives, all while their teacher is fast asleep. All their professional calm just breaks. They're in a full-blown panic. They scramble over to Jesus, shake him awake, and just scream over the roar of the storm, "Master, we're gonna die!" Jesus wakes up, he stands up, speaks to the wind and the raging waves, and instantly everything just stops. Total, stunning, dead calm. Then, in that eerie silence, he turns to his disciples, who are just standing there, soaking wet and in total shock, and he asks this question that just cuts right to the bone. Where is your faith? So a storm is one thing, a terrifying force of nature. But what happens when they finally make it to the other side of the lake and come face to face with a supernatural force? They get to shore, and immediately they're met by this man from the town, a man who wears no clothes, lives in a cemetery, and is so violently out of control that even chains can't hold him. When Jesus asks for his name, the answer is just chilling: Legion. It tells you everything you need to know about the scale of his torment. It's like an entire army of demons was at war inside this one man. And the transformation that happens next is just absolute. It's a complete 180. The wild, tormented man from the tombs is just gone. When the townspeople show up, they find him fully clothed, totally sane, and sitting peacefully right at Jesus' feet. The fallout from all this is, well, it's bizarre. The demons beg Jesus to send them into a nearby herd of pigs, which he does, and then the entire herd stampedes off a cliff into the lake and drowns. But here's the crazy part. When the townspeople see the healed man, they aren't happy. They're terrified. This kind of power is just too much for them, and they actually ask Jesus to please leave. But the man who is healed, he gets a new mission. Go home and tell everybody what God did for you. Okay, so we've seen Jesus have authority over our hearts, over the natural world, and over the demonic world. But now he comes up against two of the biggest human enemies there are: chronic sickness, and finally, death itself. Jesus gets back to the other side of the lake, and he's welcomed by this huge crowd. A synagogue leader named Jairus falls at his feet, just begging him to come and save his dying daughter, who is 12 years old. And as Jesus starts to head to his house, another story of pure desperation is happening in the crowd. A woman who has been bleeding for 12 long years. Two desperate people linked by that same number. I mean, just try to imagine being this woman. She's an outcast socially and religiously. She spent every penny she had on doctors, and nothing worked. She is at the end of her rope. So we see her pushing through this crushing crowd. She reaches out a trembling hand, and her fingers just brush the edge of Jesus' robe. And in that one instant, she feels it. The bleeding stops. Jesus stops dead in his tracks. He turns and asks, "Who touched me?" The disciples are like, "What are you talking about? We're in a huge crowd." But Jesus says, "No, I felt power go out from me." The woman, realizing she can't hide, comes forward shaking and tells him everything. And instead of shaming her, he calls her daughter, praises her faith in front of everyone, and sends her away completely whole. But right in the middle of this incredible moment, someone comes from Jairus' house with devastating news. Your daughter is dead. Jesus overhears them and tells the terrified father, "Don't be afraid, just believe." When they get to the house, it's filled with wailing mourners, who actually laugh at Jesus when he says she's just asleep. He puts them all outside, takes the little girl by the hand, and says two simple words: "Little girl, arise." And her spirit returns, and she immediately gets up. Can you even imagine that scene? The parents are just overcome with joy, hugging their daughter, who's not just alive, she's hungry. It is the greatest moment of their entire lives. And then Jesus gives them this stunning, almost confusing command: don't tell anyone what happened. And that right there, that question, perfectly captures the mystery that's been woven through this entire chapter. From parables that seem to hide the truth from some people, to world-changing miracles that he commands be kept quiet. Why would someone with this much power over storms, sickness, even death itself, so often demand silence? That's the big question Luke chapter 8 leaves us wrestling with.